So in this session, we are going to look at foreign investment appraisal. Now, when it comes to foreign investment appraisal, there are actually very difficult techniques in there, but at your ICA level, the financial management is not very complex. They always bring simple stuff, right? So mostly what they'll use to beat you here is the forecasting of exchange rates, okay? So the forecasting of exchange rates, which you know how to do, okay, but we'll still look at it. Forecasting exchange rate. So you can use the interest rate parity, or you can use the purchasing power parity to forecast exchange rate. Or sometimes they can give you the prediction model. It's rare. So prediction model, they'll give you a prediction index, okay, that the exchange rate is likely to increase by an index. So all you have to do is take the index each time and multiply by the rate. As the index goes up, the rate will be going up. But this one is rare. Okay, rarely do we see this. It's between these two most of the time. Then the next thing is to forecast your cash flows, right? You guys know how to forecast cash flows and discount them. Okay, but then there are two approaches. Okay, so there are two methods, I should say. There are two methods of working this. Okay, there are always two methods for working this one. So how does it work? So the first method, let me call it method one or approach one, is where we appraise everything in foreign currency and discount to the home currency. So this one we appraise, okay, in the foreign currency, okay, and convert. Okay, so this is the first method. What does this mean? It means that we are going to do everything in the foreign currency. So what you do is that you what? You will forecast your cash flows in foreign currency. So the foreign land, their currency, not so. Then you discount, okay? You discount using the foreign cost of capital, okay? You discount using the foreign cost of capital. And then the third thing is that you now what? Get the NPV, get NPV in foreign capital or foreign currency, okay? Then finally convert to parent currency or the home currency, okay? Convert to the home currency. So all the things you know from NPV, the net cash flows, they will all be done in the foreign currency. Okay, when you finish, you are going to use the discount rate in the foreign currency, get the NPV in the foreign currency, then you convert it to your home currency. Okay, that's the method one. Method two is to appraise the investment in home currency. Okay, in home currency. And we are actually looking for the parent or the home currencies. And maybe you can convert to, just see whether it's the same. So how do we do this method too? So the same way, first, we would get the cash flows in the foreign currency. Okay, so we'll get the cash flows in the foreign currency. Okay. And then we will convert them. Okay, we will convert them into the local currency, okay, or the home currency. We'll convert them into the local currency. Then after converting them, we will use our discount rate in the home currency or the discount rate for the home currency. Then we get NPV. We get NPV in home currency, right? Then that's actually what we are looking for, the NPV in the parent's currency. But if you like, you can always what? Convert, right? Okay, so these are the two methods. We are going to look at how to bridge the gap when one of the discount rates are given. So you remember the Fisher effect. Okay, the Fisher effect that was used to bridge the gap for inflation, where we say 1 plus what? Money rate equals 1 plus what? Real rate by 1 plus inflation rate, right? Whether I or H. Okay. Now, this one was usually in the short term. Okay. We have the long-term version where we put N here, but that doesn't really matter in your exam now. This is more economics. Now, in the long term, especially when you are looking at interest rates and then discount rate, right? There's a relationship between them. So we have what we call the international Fisher effect. Okay, which is literally saying, remember, discount rates are also interest, right? Interest in the reverse order, they are still interest. So we are saying that literally, if I know that I know interest rate parity, okay, if I want to get an exchange rate is what? The spot rate today by what? Interest rate in the foreign currency, not so. 1 plus the interest rate in the foreign currency or inflation rate in the foreign currency. So that's interest rate parity, and purchasing parity will use inflation. This will use interest. So spot rate by 1 plus interest in the foreign currency over 1 plus what? Interest rate in the base currency or the home currency, right? This is what we know, how to forecast exchange rate. Now, Ivan Fisher is also saying that, okay, since the relationship between interest rates across countries, are you getting it, are proportional, the same way, if I want a discount rate, then 1 plus the discount rate in the foreign country over 1 plus the discount rate in the base or home currency should be equivalent to 1 plus what? The interest or inflation rate in the foreign currency proportional to what? 1 plus the inflation or interest rate in the base currency. So usually what you do is that you always use this in international investment appraisal to get the missing one. What do I mean? So let's say that a Ghanaian company acquires, okay, an investment or acquires an investment in a Nigerian company, right? A Nigerian company, or invest in a Nigerian company, not so. And the Nigerian company's discount factor, okay? The Nigerian company's discount rate, or simply they tell you the Nigerian company's cost of capital, okay? The Nigerian company's cost of capital is, let's say, 12%, okay? Then they tell you interest rates in Nigeria is 18%, okay? And interest rate in Ghana is 20%. And they are asking you that find what? Find the cost of capital for Ghana, the Ghana company. What you are going to do is that you are going to use the international Fisher effect, okay? And what is the international Fisher effect? I just explained it to you. So under the international Fisher effect, what you are going to do is that you are going to take 1 plus the discount rate in the foreign currency, which here is Nigeria. Then we take what? 1 plus what? The discount rate in the home currency or the base currency equals 1 plus interest or inflation rate in the foreign currency all over what? 1 plus interest or what? Inflation rate in the home currency. So this is actually an I. You can easily use H as well. It doesn't really matter. So now that we know this, we know our variables, right? We know discount rate in the foreign country, which is Nigeria, to be 12%. We know this. But the discount rate in our home currency, we don't know. That's what we are finding, right? Okay. But we know that the inflation rate in the foreign currency, which is Nigeria, was 18%, or the interest rate. Then the interest rate in what? In Ghana, which is the home currency, or the home, was what? 20%. So now that we have all these variables, you can fill in the formula. So in that case, we know 1.12, right? It was 12%. This was 18%. This was 20%, right? This is where you fill them in. So 1.12 over 1 plus what? The discount rate in the home currency equals what? 1.18 over 1.2. Okay, so this is what we have. So literally you just do change of subject. That means you have to multiply through by this. So you have, or you cross multiply, right? That's also another way. So we cross multiply. So we have 1.12 by 1.2 equals 1.18 by 1.1 plus dr for h. Okay, so this is what we have. Since this is what we have, it means that we must divide both sides by 1.18, right? So we divide by 1.18, divide everything here by 1.18. So 1.18, 1.18 is gone. So you end up with 1.12 by 1.2 over 1.18. So 1.12 by 1.2 divided by 1.18, and that gives us 1.1389 equals 1 plus dr each. Okay, but I always want dr to stand on its own. So I have 1.1389 equals to, okay, minus 1, right? dr should stand on its own. So minus 1 equals dr for home. So it means that 13.89 is giving us our discount rate in the home. Okay, so approximately, it means our discount rate in the home currency should be roughly 14%. Okay, so 14% is what you use to discount. I get it. We use it to discount our home cash flows. Okay, but if you have cash flows in the Nigerian currency, you are going to discount them at what? At the 12%. So this is how international investment appraisal confuses students, right? So it is just the rates. Okay, it is just the rate. So know what rate to use at what point in time. That is all we are looking for. So let's take an actual question. This one shouldn't be that long. So ABC, let me zoom this a little. Yeah. Good. So ABC Limited is a UK company intending to undertake a project in foreign land where the currency is the franc. Okay, so foreign land where the currency is the franc. So that's a foreign currency. And ABC uses a discount rate of 10% to evaluate projects in the UK. That means there's a home currency, like the parent's currency, right? To the discount, the parent's discount factor. And the current spot rate is what? £1 to 2 FR. So it means that the foreign currency is the FR, the pound is the base currency or the home currency because it is quoted as one. So the risk-free rate of interest in foreign land is 5%. So they've given the interest in foreign land, and the UK being what? 7%. The initial investment of the project will be 400 franc, and the net cash inflows over 5 years is 150,000 per year. So it means that they've already found the net cash inflows. That's the discounted, the PV of the cash inflows, which they've done for you already. And they say ignore tax. Calculate the NPV of the project. So for the first time, I want to do all the two methods. So the first thing I will do is to get the discount factor. You remember that we have already been given the discount rate in the home currency. So discount rate in foreign land, okay? So the discount rate in foreign land, that's what I want. And how do we get this? We use the international Fisher effect, okay? We use the international Fisher effect. I want you to get used to this because sometimes the examiner may ask for a specific method. That's why you need to learn this. So the first thing I need to do is that I say what? 1 plus the discount rate in the foreign currency, which is the franc, all over 1 plus what? The discount rate in the home currency, which is what? The pound, okay? So this gives me what? They gave risk-free rate, which represent the interest. So 1 plus what? The interest rate in the foreign currency all over what? 1 plus what? The interest rate in the home currency. So we have this, and then they are saying that the discount rate in what? Franc, we don't know, but we know the discount rate in what? The home currency, which is the UK, is 10%. We know that what? The inflation or the interest rate in the foreign currency they gave it to us, right? As being what? 5%. And then the one in the base currency or the home currency, which is the UK, as being 7%, right? Risk-free rate. Okay, with this being said, we can easily find this missing figure by putting it here. So in that case, I know that 1 plus DRF, that's what we are finding. We don't know, but I know that 1.10 is what I have in the UK equals what? 1.05, because that's 5% in the foreign land. That's this one. This one too is this one, right? And this 10% is this one, meaning this one we don't know. Okay, so in that case, over what? 1.07. So as usual, you can multiply through, but you can just cross multiply. So that gives us 1 plus DRF also by 1.07 equals 1.05 by 1.1. Okay, so with this being said, it means that if I take my 1 plus DRF times 1.07 equals 1.05 by 1.1, it means I can divide both sides by 1.07, right? Okay, so that being said, what do I get for that? That's 1.05 by 1.1 divided by 1.07. And that gives me, so 1 plus DRF gives me 1.0794, which means DRF gives me 1.0794 minus 1. So that gives me 7.94%, which can be approximated to 8% roughly. Okay, so that is it. Okay, so now we know that the discount rate in UK is the same as the discount rate in franc or foreign land. Okay, good. Now, let's try method 1, the appraisal itself, right? Appraisal method 1. We are going to what? Forecast in franc and convert, right, into home currency. Good. This is the first one we are going to do. So let's set up our cash flows. So year 0, how many years is that going for? For 5 years. So I'm just going to use a normal pro forma: year 0, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and year 5, right? So we have our initial investment. Everything here was in franc, right? Our initial investment was actually year 0, where we paid 400,000 franc, also. Okay, so then we have our net inflows. So our net cash inflows, meaning you would have done all your scrap value, all those things, they will tell you. Okay, so once you get your net cash flows, you are going to put them. But they said we have net cash flows of 150,000 per year. So it means that every year we have 150,000, 150,000, 150,000. You can equally use your annuity factor because they are annuities, but I just want us to fill that NPV format we know. Okay, so once you have this, everything here is in franc. So you have 400,000 here. Okay, you have 150,000 here, 150,000, 150,000, 150,000, and another 150,000. Okay, so now that you have that, because our discount factor, remember, these are the net cash flows in what? In franc. So in that case, what do we need? We need discount factor at what? We are doing everything in franc. So franc, the discount factor was at what? 8%. We just found that. So we just found discount factor. We just find the discount factor in franc. So here will be 1. Then we find the discount factor. So 1.08 raised to the power minus 1. That's 0.926. Okay, so that's the very first year. So we have 0.857. And we have 0.793, I believe, or 0.794, 0.735, in the last year, 0.681, 0.681. Okay, so once we have this, we just discount to get our PVs, then our NPV. Okay, so this one will still be at 400,000. Then we have 150,000 going by 0.926, and that's 138,900. 138,900. We have 150,000 going by 0.857. That gives us 128,550. So 128,550. So 150,000 by 0.794. That gives us 119,100. 119,100. Then I have 150,000 going by 0.735. That gives us 110,250. 110,250. Then you have 150,000 going by 0.681. That gives us 102,150. 102,150. Okay, so now we can get our NPV in franc. Okay, and that is 138,900 plus 128,550 plus 119,100 plus 110,250 plus 102,150. Okay, minus 400,000. That's 198,950 franc, right? Positive. So it's a good project. We should accept it. But because it is not in the currency of the shareholders, okay, so we can convert, right? So what was the exchange rate at that date? This is spot rate, the date, because this is present value today. Today, the exchange rate is what? 2 franc. Okay, it's 2 franc. And since this is in franc and this is in franc, it means we divide by 2 franc, right? We divide by 2 franc, and that gives us what? Our NPV in pounds. Okay, so our NPV in pounds will be what? 1,950 divided by 2 francs, and that gives us 99,475 pounds. Okay, which is a good project. We should accept it. So this is the first method. So the first method, you do everything in the foreign currency, then discount in the foreign currency and just convert. Mostly, they will not give you room to use this. It's relatively simple. The examiner will want you to forecast the exchange rate. So that's what we are going to do. Okay, so method number 2, this is where we what? Get our cash flows in pounds, in the home currency. Okay, we get our cash flows in the home currency. So we get our cash flows in home currency. Okay, and then we convert if we want, because it's the home currency that they need. So what you are going to do is that definitely, because all the cash flows that you are getting are in what? Are in franc, you need to convert it to pounds. Okay, so in that case, the same format. I'm going to do my year 0, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and year 5, right? My initial investment will initially be in what? Franc, right? My initial investment was 400,000. It will be initially in franc. Also, then I have my net cash flows, which was what? 150,000 per year. So this 150,000, 150,000, 150,000, 150,000, and then what? 150,000. This has been done. Good. But then I need my net cash flows in what? These net cash flows are in franc, but I need my net cash flows in pounds, right? So that's what we do. So we have 150,000, 150,000, 150,000, 150,000, and then another 150,000. Okay. Sorry. So now what we need is we need the Forex rate, the FX rate to convert this, right? So we need to go and forecast the Forex rates. So let's go down here and say what? Forecast exchange rate, right? Exchange rates for the next 5 years, right? So first of all, we know that here we're giving interest rate parity, right? So if you are using this, that means your spot rate in some number of years' time will be your spot rate today times 1 plus the what? The interest rate in the foreign currency over what? 1 plus what? the interest rate in the base or home currency. This is what we have. So in that case, when we need a spot rate for year one, we just take the spot rate today, which was 2 franc, right? So we take 2 and multiply by what? 1 point, I believe this was 1.05. This was 1.07, right? We have it here, UK 7, Foreign 5. That's how you forecast. So that's the first year. Okay, so that gives us 2 by 1.05 over 1.07, and that gives us what? 1.96, 1.9626. Okay, I like 4 decimal places. So year two, okay, that's the spot rate in year two. Now the rate is 1.9626, right? Franc. 1.9626 franc by 1.05 over 1.07 again. Okay, and that will give us that's 1.9259. Okay, you go to year three, you do a 1.9259 multiplied by 1.05 over 1.07 again, and that gives you 1.8899. Okay, so this is all you have. 1.8899. You go to year four, the spot rate in year four, that is 1.8899 by 1.05 over 1.07. Okay, so that gives us 1.8546. So we go to year five, which is the last year. We bring our 1.8546 multiplied by our 1.05 over 1.07. And that gives us 1.8199. 1.8199. So that is it. So once you've been able to forecast the cash flows, now the FX rate, you are going to bring them. But you should know whether you are dividing or multiplying. You can use ratios and say, if 2 franc is equal to what? 1 pound, then I get it. Just test. You use it as a test. Then 400,000 franc will be what? Definitely, if more or less divide. So you are dividing. That tells you have to divide. Okay, so you just test that. Otherwise, sometimes under pressure, you can multiply when you are supposed to divide. And mostly people divide when they are supposed to be multiplied. That is the problem they have. But dividing is usually not a problem in exam, from what I've noticed. So we know that in year zero, it is 2 franc, right? In year one, it was what? 1.9626. So we are dividing, right? So this one divided by 1.9626. Okay, this one, we are dividing again. 1.9259. So 1.9259. Then we are dividing again. 1.8899. So divided by 1.8899. Then divided by again 1.8546. So 1.88 that one is 1.8546. Possibly. This thing be even like that. Okay. 1.8546. And then the last one. And the last one was 1.8199 divided by 1.8199. Okay, so once you have been able to do this, we are now going to get the net cash flows in pounds, the home currency. You see how we go about it. And this is the method mostly they'll only give you room to use. So 400,000 divided by 2, that means you have 200,000 pounds as your initial investment. Then you have 150,000 divided by 1.9626. And that gives us 76429. 76429. Then you have 150,000 divided by 1.9259. That's 77,886. And we have 150,000 divided by 1.8899. And that gives us 79,369. Then you have 150,000 divided by 1.8546. So that is 8879 or 8880. And you have 150,000 divided by 1.8199. You have 82,422. 82,422. Okay. So now that you have this, you now need the discount factor at the 10% used in what? UK. So this is 1, this is 0.909, 0.826, 0.751, 0.683, 0.621, right? So all you have to do is multiply to come and get what? The PVs in the pound. Okay, so this will still give us 200,000. And then we have 76,429 by 0.909. And that is 69,474. We have 77,886 by 0.826. And that gives us 64,334. Then you have 79,369 by 0.751. You have 59,606. Then you have 80,880 by what? Yes, you have 80,880 by 0.683. That gives us 55,241. 55,241. And then you have 82,422 by 0.621. You have 51,184. So this gives us 51,184. Okay. So that is it. So now we get our NPV in pounds. Our NPV in pounds. That gives us what? Minus 200,000 plus 69,474 plus 64,334 plus 59,606 plus 55,241 plus 51,184. So we end up with 99,839. It's because of the rounding offs. It should have been just equal to 99,475. You get it? So it's just rounding off. So if we want our NPV, what's the FX rate? The FX rate was what? It was two franc, right? Since this is in pound, then I want franc. The franc is more, right? So I must multiply by 2 franc to come and get the NPV in franc, right? The NPV in franc, just like we did when we're working in franc. And that means multiplying this by 2. So if I multiply by 2, I'm getting 199,678. When you look at the one we had, it was 198,950. It's just closer. If we didn't round anything off, we'll get exactly the same figures under both methods, but mostly this is the examination preferred method, right? Why? Because they will want you to forecast the exchange rates. Okay. I've seen questions when they ask you to, you know, use the two methods. Okay, use all the two methods for 15 marks. So you use method A and use method B and comment. Okay, so the decision is to invest in the project as it generates positive cash flows over the initial investment. Okay, good. But if you're investing over foreign land, remember there are qualitative issues as well. You see, I always talk about qualitative issues. What are some of them? Well, risk in another country, you don't know. Political risk, you know. Yes, the government might change and it might impact your investment. We have restrictions, right? Financial restrictions, meaning that you cannot send profits. So mostly we call it repatriation restriction or blocked funds. Okay. to have blocked funds. Sometimes the money that you earn from this project, the other country may not want you to bring them here. Then pestle factors, right? You know them. Political risk, legal risk, economic risk, they might affect this. Then you have finance risk. Okay, the interest rates in the other country might change. Okay, and so many things. Okay, market risk, the customers who do not know you, maybe the project, you anticipated this and that. Okay. And so many things can happen. I mean, think about it. Think about it. All the things that can happen. Inflation, okay, opportunity cost of capital. Where can you invest? That would be better than investing in this country. So all these things are qualitative issues that you should consider when you are doing this. So foreign investment appraiser at your level, they are not going deep than this. Okay, it's just surface level stuff, right? Just be ready. But the funny thing is when it comes into exam, people still struggle. All right. So that is it. I'll see you in our next video where we are going to look at financing options. Okay, so in our next video, we'll be looking at financing options calculation. So things like short-term um, financing options, management of receivables, factoring. We'll be looking at working capital management, and then even impact of financing sources on the various ratios. That means you need to understand ratios very well. So I'll see you in our next session.